to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Lauren Ferruccio.
Rebecca Johnson.
Pam McLeod.
Tim Broderick.
Matt Jazokis.
John MacArthur.
Okay, we have agenda review, and I've just put the ATA on the agenda at the top to discuss open house. Any other items for the agenda?
Not from me.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Do I need to state the addition?
Just say with.
With the addition of
Yeah.
open house discussion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Lauren, could you pull the mic a little closer? Okay, we have approval of minutes for June 12th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes dated June 12th.
I second.
Do you have any changes or suggestions?
No?
Vote anyway, because we need a quorum.
Okay.
You don't have to abstain.
Okay.
Unless you really want to. Okay. All right. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have public input on agenda items. Would anybody like to give public input? No? Okay. Seeing none, I will close public input. Derek, you're up.
Feel loud enough. Just project.
Teacher voice.
Thank you. I should introduce myself. Derek Papsdale, resident teacher, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to come and just address open house. So originally, when the calendar was set for this year, I think when we made the calendar, we had talked about doing open house later in the year. And I'm not sure, you might know better than me, John, I'm trying to think. In the 6 years you've been here, it hasn't always been the first night, has it?
Except for the COVID year.
Okay, so I've been here 20 years and I've seen it bump around a lot, but the discussion that we had in making the new calendar was that typically in the last few years, even since John's been here, open house has been that first night, which is usually in August, and it's usually at the end of a teacher workday. We have just addressed the concerns that teachers are doing PD all day, and then they're trying to stay late that night, get their rooms ready, and then have people come in, and it's just way too much. I told John this and the other admin, I said, not to be disrespectful, but someone who's sitting in professional development all day, honestly, part of the back of my mind is like, I have adults coming to the community, I want my room to look welcoming, inviting, I wanna have, the name tags, the posters, all that stuff that makes it look like a home for parents. So trying to do PD throughout the day and find that time, admin's been great in the past, trying to give us the time to get in to do our rooms, but there usually isn't enough time. So what happens is you have parents come in, you're hiding boxes, you're stuffing things. For me, I'm still like unpacking, so you just, I know some teachers will try and go home, will shower, they'll bring a change of clothes, they're running out to get dinner. It's too much. It's way too much for the staff. So we brought the proposal, let's do that later in September. And I brought the question to John, I said, I don't know, it hasn't been addressed in a while, but let's think about what is the purpose of open house? What's the purpose of back to school night, right? So is it to see a face and say, hi, Pam, this is your teacher, this is Mr. Papasino, and you get to see me, meet me and whatnot. Is that the only purpose, right? So in putting it farther back, it takes, I think what it does is it gives the teachers that focus on professional development, right? Working on, collaborating, team meetings, and still probably getting your room ready as well. But to me, if we can put that back farther, I think what it does is it actually gives open house more of a purpose. I know some of show me, or the parents show the kids where the room is. It can go either way, right? But if we put it back, what it does is it takes the stress off the teachers during the professional development. I think also it gives time for that kid to acclimate into that classroom, which also allows for parents to have questions to ask at open house. Because as a parent, when I go to an open house, I don't know anything, say, if my kids are in the second grade, I know nothing about second grade, so I can have 1,000 questions. So if I allow for my child to go to school, say, for 3 weeks, I kind of see how things roll. Now I know, okay, I'm gonna ask about the agenda that comes from everybody. I'm gonna ask about how much reading you're supposed to do. The other thing it does is it gives teachers an opportunity to put out some work. And I think also it gives the responsibility of that kid. Why not, you look at our mission, we want kids to be problem solvers and resilient, all that good stuff. Why not have the kid come in that 3 weeks in and say, I'm gonna show you my room, I'm gonna show you the book note, I'm gonna show you our morning calendar, right? And it also gives time for teachers to do some work to put out. And then I think, as a parent, it gives you more questions to ask. And it doesn't become a conference, because I think we all know open house night, a lot of times, it's like, you wanna tell that parent everything, you wanna tell the teacher everything, okay? If we put it back, it gives the time, again, for the parents to see what's going on in the classroom. And then when they do have questions, like 3 weeks, then you can say, this is perfect, conferences are 3 weeks away. We can have you sign up right now. So we can have the conference sign up out. I'm trying to figure out, when I told John this, I said, and I've asked other teachers, like, why do we have back to school money? What's the purpose? When you think of it, open house, back to school or open house? I know for a fact the teachers, it's way too much to have open house that night of PD. This year we only have 2 teacher work days, right, Price? I think we only have 2 teacher work days, right, in the calendar. So I don't know how much time is allowed here for teachers to prep their room. So,
Before school.
Okay.
yeah, before school, so even less time. So it's like, if we want parents to see this welcoming, inviting classroom, are we telling teachers come in during the summer? Do you want them coming in early? What do we want them to do? I think the bottom question is who is open house? What's the purpose of open house and who is it for? In my eyes, it's about the kids, right? So it's about the kids, the stakeholders, the staff, and the parents. How do we best utilize that night? Instead of saying, let's all rush and get together for one night just so you can say, this is your room. Again, why not push it back farther? And then that kid comes in and they show you, I'm gonna walk you to my art room. This is my art teacher, right? This is the work we've been doing for 3 weeks. So, I made the suggestion that we push it towards the end of September.
Thank you. You wanna take a couple minutes?
Is it
Chat about it.
scheduled now?
So the reason I brought up is originally, like, we made the calendar was let's put it towards the end of September, later in the month, because it was too much on teachers. And then we had a to be determined, or it was to be determined
Tentative.
August 31st. So I said, well, we discussed September, that's definitely too early. And I know the teachers were very happy to hear, okay, let me focus on PD. Haven't seen people for a whole, summer. Let me meet with my new team, prep, talk about all those things, and not stress about getting a room ready for parents to come in that night. So I proposed some later dates, and I think, to be honest, if you push it back a week, it almost makes it worse. Because it's like, okay, we've been in school for less than a week, right? We go to school on a Tuesday, so we meet and greet everybody, how's your summer, how are you doing? Maybe do a writing prompt, how's your summer, right? We explain the rules of the room. The first day is a lot of talking by staff, I think. Then we start doing work, and then parents come in. So why not give them 3 weeks? Let them start doing some math and reading with kids. So then when parents come into that open house, you can have examples and samples, and you can say, even when it's a parent, how are they doing? Sign for a conference, we can definitely talk about that. Or we can answer questions about curriculum or scheduling, or like I said, rules at recess, or rules for taking out books in the classroom. It just, to me, as an educator, it makes sense, even as a parent, because if I'm going in that first night, I don't know what to ask that teacher. I haven't experienced anything, right? So I just wanted to share my perspective as a teacher and give you something to think about.
Thank you. I don't think it's our place to decide when the open house is. I think it's because it's not a school, it's not a day when students are in school. That portion of the calendar is ours, but Tim,
And so
I
the calendar.
tend to think of it as an administrative responsibility.
Sorry, Madam Chair. The calendar approved by the school board acknowledges that there is an evening open house and states that it's in September but doesn't give a date.
Okay.
I read that to mean it is left to school administration to schedule. The principal's been attempting to work with the ATA, but as you can see, apparently
So,
it's
to,
unresolved.
can I speak?
Well,
Yes, please.
John and I discussed the date, we just wanna make sure it's something that,
I agree. The teachers don't have enough time. They don't have enough time. But when you, one of those, I don't know when it started, but at one point there was a school bus out there that the kids that never been on the school bus get to do, like the kindergartners
That was
coming
last
in.
year.
Are we going to do something for like the kindergarten kids who are still, this is their first meet the teacher? Because I want to do what you want to do for the teachers, but I also want to do what we should do for the students and how they can have never been. Like
yeah,
I
like that idea.
remember-
I feel like this is, I've been here for 20 years, and we've never had an open house discussion. And I think finally the teachers were like, it's too much.
I remember when it started, Derek, I was an administrator here. And it used to be that we would have something just for the little kids.
That's right, yeah.
Preschool, kindergarten, we had some kind of picnic or something. And then we opened it up to the rest of the school. And this is what I remember, and it was something I suggested every year in my future administrative career, because parents loved it and kids loved the opportunity to come. I don't remember ever looking at a classroom and caring what the classroom looked like, but what was great was my kids having the opportunity to go and relieve some of that anxiety the night before school and to be comfortable with it. So I don't think it's our place to choose, but if I were gonna choose and I were putting on my hat, kids first always, but I just want you to keep that in mind. It's one of the really special things I think that ACS has always done, and it might not be received very well by parents.
I mean, when I look at open house, you know, what is the purpose? I'm not saying I disagree, but is the purpose to relieve anxiety of you're gonna be with a new person? You know, I have to ask myself, I mean, I've been here many years, how many of these kids, how many third graders don't know the fourth grade teachers at all? I don't know. You know, do we need to do a better job in the future, at the end of the school year, whatever? I mean, because I think usually teachers go out, the names go on that last report card, so that's tough. But if I want open house to be, in my opinion, student-centered, I think it should, a parent having the ability not just to say, oh, look, it's Derek Papasino, but, you know, my kid's enjoying your class, I have some questions about, again, all these different things, and me saying, yeah, I can answer those now, because we're not having a conference, but I can answer all the general rules, or whatever it is, and then I can sign them up for that conference and saying, this is great, nice to meet you, I'll see you in 3 or 4 weeks. So, I mean, it's not for me to decide either, I just feel like that's
I would,
the better route.
if it's moved back, I would strongly encourage something for the littles.
I think it makes sense for those little kids, but again, if we're gonna have open house, and I think the entire middle school and grade 5 on is gonna say, these kids know, you know, are we dragging the kids to those, or are they even showing up, I guess, right?
Yep.
And if we do it end of September and soccer game is away and, you know, and tracks or, you know, like, are we gonna be able to have no events for no sports practices or anything that day as well? So that those kids can still have that opportunity? I mean, I'm just curious.
Ask the AD. Sorry, John.
I don't wanna spend too much on time on
Yeah.
it, but I think
Yeah.
if everybody's had a chance to give
But it's a
input.
long day for the teachers, and it
Yeah,
is,
for
so.
sure.
I know what you're saying, maybe you're not looking around, but as a teacher, I want my room to look top notch. I do. And if it means avoiding all that PD and not paying, you know, not doing the other things, meeting with staff, meeting with teammates, whatever it may be, which is the purpose of PD. I mean, we have to give professional
welcome.
Thank you.
How much time is dedicated to classroom set up during the PD days? Do you have the schedule out yet?
We'll know by the end of the day Wednesday. We started
Okay.
our
Oh,
3-day
admin retreat,
summer
okay.
retreat today.
Right.
Okay, great.
We're-
All right.
But there
Thank
is,
you.
I mean, there is
We're
always
meeting
time
with you
allotted to it.
mid-retreat.
I mean, I worked in a district where teachers had one day to set up for years. So it's, which was, just felt really tough. Okay. We'll leave it with y'all.
Very well.
Yep. Okay, financials?
It's the time of year when if Heidi can not have to come to a school board meeting, it's good for her, so
Oh,
Great.
I
More
invited
power to
Heidi to not come to a school board meeting because typically in your first expenditure report of the year where I haven't even looked at the bottom line, but normally we're something like 45% encumbered at this time of year. 40.73. So we'll,
Okay.
you know, it takes a few months to really get the budget rolling.
Any questions on the financials?
no.
No? Okay.
I was always Karen, no
I
longer.
District administration for your information, delegate assembly update. It looks like delegate assembly will be Saturday, October 14th in Concord. Oops. It is, always nice if somebody can go, to vote on these resolutions. I don't know if anybody's interested.
Do I have to tell you right now?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say. I'm
It is a
looking.
good day, it's just a
October
weekend in
14th.
October. Yeah.
Is that the long weekend? Columbus Day?
Columbus?
I don't think so, I think Columbus Day is the weekend before. I think it's the 7th.
Yeah, Debbie's always there, yeah, that's right.
It's the first weekend in October?
Columbus Day is, I think so, yeah.
I think it is is it the same weekend? Yeah, is that the long weekend? No, okay. Okay.
Monday, October 9th.
All right, so
Yeah.
think about that. Superintendent's report, Tim,
Already?
already?
I have one item for you, and it is the draft CIP worksheet. We met last week. I like to update capital plans between, during the summer, between the end of one year and the beginning of the next, so we can sit down and process what happened during the previous year and if any adjustments should be made. There are a couple of changes from last year's capital plan. For this school, you have a pretty long-standing tradition, I think, of having a very simple capital plan that looks like this. And it focuses on items that will or might appear on the March warrant. That's it. So this doesn't mean that we won't be making other improvements to the building along the way, but if we are, they're budgeted. And if they're significant enough to require warrant articles, they're going to appear here unless something comes up in case of an emergency, which some of you have seen, and in a case like that, we would come to you with a funding source that you have the legal authority to expend from. I like also keeping the previous year on. We've graded out so that everyone understands it's over, fiscal '23, which is the year that just ended. The warrant article did pass to place the $150,000 for phase 3 of the cafeteria renovation, which includes the kitchen. It's not just the room where the kids eat. In fact, the kitchen is what's left. It's what's next. So our folks have been meeting with the architect, and Heidi's coordinating that along with Sam, and the money's in the Building and Grounds Capital Reserve Fund. So the way this works is the warrant article provides permission from the voters for the district to raise and appropriate the money. It gets deposited into the Capital Reserve Fund. When we actually do the work, which doesn't actually have a time limit, although we want to do the work and we're doing the work, you will hold a public hearing to withdraw funds from the capital reserve, which is required by law. So we advertise a public hearing in the newspaper. At a board meeting probably like this, you say, Madam Chair, I'm now opening the public hearing on withdrawing funds from the capital reserve for the purpose of paying for the final phase of the cafeteria or the kitchen renovation. You withdraw those funds then, which means we only spend the amount we need to do the work, even though what we were able to raise and appropriate was 150, the amount we spend will be whatever the market bears when we go through competitive procurement for that. There's no future need for fundraising for that project. This is the final of the 3 phases. The next one, the school completed a boiler replacement project 2 years ago. It was being done when I came on board as your superintendent, and last year was the first year of fundraising for the next boiler room boiler replacement. So 2 boiler rooms can be covered by the next project. This is a small change. We agreed with the CIP committee when Mrs. Locke and I met with them last August to reduce the first year request to $80,000 simply because the $150,000 request for the kitchen was already in the same year. So the total was going to be over 200, was going to be 230. And then for the subsequent 4 years, last year we had put in 130. Now, as you can see, we've front-loaded that, I guess you would say, to increase that proposal for next year. So I'm looking for your endorsement before I go meet with the town CIP committee in a couple of weeks. So we've added $30,000 to the first year, but then reduced each of the next 3 by 10. So it's the same total amount of money, but raised more in the first year. And the reason for that is it's our only request next year. And if you look out through the rest of this 5-year plan, there are some other proposals likely to hit in the other years. So it seemed to make sense, and I think that the CIP committee may agree, or is likely to agree, that it makes a little more sense to make this year's proposed warrant article a little bit bigger, considering the other needs that we could have coming down the road. Should I pause for any questions just on that? Okay, so as far as those other needs go, you see there are 3 items. The next 3 on the list are an HVAC project in the gym and music and art hallway and rooms, building access controls, and unit ventilator repairs. Those did not require warrant articles. Those don't require going to the public and raising and appropriating money and impacting the tax rate. Because for the first one, we have a federal ESSER grant to pay for that. For the second one, we received a Homeland Security grant to replace the building access system. That work has been happening this summer. I don't
It's
think
not
done
completed yet, but
they're in the middle.
It's well underway.
And the last one you know about, since your last meeting, we've heard back from Primex. They're covering 50% of $83,400 in unit ventilator replacements. So that's half of that. They're funding more like 2/3 of the cost of replacing the flooring. This is all due to burst coils in those unit ventilators that we had last winter on a very, very cold weekend. Not because of any error or malfunction here in the building, but just because those coils were very close to the exterior walls. And there was water damage all over the state in that particular cold weekend. So because of the age of the units, we're only getting 50%, but you've already identified, we've already identified, and you've told us that we did okay, the funds we need to take care of the district's portion of that. So again, no need for a warrant article, no need to raise and appropriate any new money for that. In the process of replacing those burst unit ventilators, we realized how old the unit ventilators are in the ERC wing. And you might remember there are a total of 12 or 13 of those, and 4 of them failed last winter. So if we replace them proactively and space it out over 4 years, we would be looking for $50,000 a year to do that work. So that's that item. The ductless split system in the middle school wing is an old proposal. We had it in fiscal '25 last year also. We're just carrying it forward. When we get to it, you can decide whether or not you want us to do it or kick it out further. A surveillance system is the same thing. It's been on the capital plan for a while. It's a few years out. That once you get beyond a couple of years in a capital plan, it's always, I think, it has to always be reasonable to talk about, maybe we'll wait another year for that, or we'll see how much money we have, if there's excess at the end of the year, or what happens with some of these other things on the warrants. Same with some flooring replacements and bathroom renovations. Those are the things that appear in the last couple of columns in a 5-year capital plan are always the squishiest, I guess, is how I'd put it. So that's where we are. We're trying to, the whole purpose of planning this way is to try to smooth out the fundraising that we ask for from the public year by year. It also provides a handy roadmap for you, the board, if grant funds become available or if you have some surplus in a given year. It gives you an idea what sorts of things we might ask to do. So this is where we are, and unless you have some kind of change you'd like to ask us to make, we will take this to the Town of Alton CIP committee by the end of August.
The only suggestion I have is maybe to look at that line 11 and maybe move it up to this year and reduce the 160 for the boiler room and take that $30,000 and move that to the following year. You know, just kind of swap them. Because, you know, middle schoolers are,
Sweaty?
yep. And things are only getting warmer, you know? The shoulder seasons are tough.
I like that.
And mini splits are the most efficient way to heat and cool, right, by far.
Yes. So I know the building was constructed in 1956 or 1957, but actually, I know that some of you may dream of a new school, but this building's in pretty good shape. I'm sorry. It's as buildings this age go, you've done a great job.
Put a lot of money
So
into
I
it.
think that it makes sense to continue, from what I see. The only sort of question mark that I have right now is we've asked, there's a note over here about H.L. Turner is doing some feasibility study for us on switching the unit ventilator heaters over to some kind of a mini split or more efficient heating and cooling system for the entire building. That would be likely to be extremely expensive. By extremely, I mean it would be in the millions, not in the hundreds of thousands. I can tell you that much right now. But they're going to give us a more accurate, a real number to associate with that. Those are the types of things, you know, sprinkler systems, but you have that. Wholesale HVAC changes. Those are the kinds of things that could get you to talk about how much longer is it worth continuing to improve this building. But based on what we do know right now, it looks like it's worth continuing to improve this building.
I think my only other thought would be the camera surveillance system. Only because, well, not only, that report you had given us a while back.
Yep.
Yes.
One of the things I think that needed focus were our cameras, because there's a lot of spots where you can't see. And I know people think just because we live in small town Alton, it may not happen, but I think that should be a focus as well, just, you know, for the safety of everybody, the students, the staff, everyone.
Yeah, so we do have a surveillance system. We do record footage. We do keep it and have access to it. But you're correct. There are some blind spots. There are some lapses in coverage. If you want to know exactly where, we're allowed to go to non-public to talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
So we do have a recommendation, which is why it's here. We actually applied for a Homeland Security grant last year when we got the access control system. We also applied for a grant to do the surveillance system, but Homeland Security ended up directing all of their funds in the state exclusively to access control projects
Okay.
at schools that applied for those. At our
Those-
high school,
those
we
grants
applied
may
for a
come around.
surveillance project, but not access control, so we got nothing. At the elementary
Oh.
schools, we applied for both, so we got access control.
I think there's probably a pretty good chance those grants will circle back around
Yeah.
in the next couple of years.
It's the perfect item to try to grant fund.
But you could also add a couple of cameras for just a
For-
few
pretty cheap,
$1,000s.
yeah,
Just
right.
find the money to add a couple,
So, am I allowed to say anything right now?
of course.
Okay. So I had wanted to check. So I know that IT, actually, I just did a tour with Matt Dumont. They actually are addressing some of the major blind spot areas where we had, which I can't obviously talk about, that they are being addressed. But I mean, to the span of some of the other quotes we've had, it's a ton of money for something that we're pretty much almost there now. With what we have, they've been able to reconfigure with this whole, basically gutting of infrastructure, being able to repurpose to expand the capability of how much storage we have on it. That is going to go well beyond the 30 days that we have. It's going to go well beyond that, which is good. And also through the process of rerouting the wires, they've been able to add drops for several. I won't say several. A couple more cameras in some pretty hot spots that we need them.
I would, on the 30 days, I would just caution you that that has to match the retention policy that was approved for video surveillance, and I always felt like if you go beyond 30 days, then you get into the we have to keep this many days. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that policy is gonna have to come back to us for review,
Okay.
whatever you decide that amount of days to be. Okay, anything else on this? No? Matt?
Good evening. In your packet, you have my report, just a few things. One of the pieces of that is the school goal. As you are aware, we updated our professional development plan, and as part of that update, teachers are required to develop a personal goal. The school creates a goal, and the district or the system has a goal as well, which was at the JMA meeting. So this is specific to ACS. As a result of John and his leadership team coming up with that school goal, one of the ways that we are going to work towards achieving that goal, in addition to what they'll be doing, is we're going to begin the process of working through the Universal Design for Learning, which UDL. We'll focus on implementing this, and for those of you that are not aware of UDL, it offers a wide range of benefits that enhance the learning experience and outcomes for all of our students. It's a framework, so this is not a program where that's a reoccurring cost. It's a teaching technique that teachers can use and use it pretty quickly. I put in there some of the benefits that come along with the UDL. I'm not going to read through all of those, but as you go through it, you can see inclusion, personalized learning, engagement, better learning outcomes. But as we get better at utilizing Universal Design for Learning, it benefits our students and the teachers and the overall community. We can create a more inclusive and engaging and effective learning experiences for our students as we continue to grow with that. And again, when we talk about SEL, a lot of the things at SEL is we know that kids are coming in all different places, in all different experiences. So UDL allows us to understand where they're coming from and adapt accordingly. So there's a book that we're going to use, UDL Now, that all the teachers will get a copy of, and through some professional development work, we'll be working through that process. And again, the goal is just to begin to understand the framework of that with 24-25 implementation. The other part, the science of reading, we talked about that in the past. On June 26th, several members from our administrative team throughout the system participated in a day-long workshop focused on the science of reading. The goal of the day was to begin building leadership knowledge and understanding of the science of reading, understanding that it equips school with the evidence-based knowledge. Again, we're not looking to change anything at this point in terms of our program, but we also want to focus on our knowledge base in the area of science of reading. Throughout this school year, John and Janice and some of his leadership team will be participating in workshops to grow their knowledge as well. So again, we really want to get a good knowledge from the administrative level as we start to move forward with making some adjustments to our ELA program. So, next board meeting, I will have our teacher workshop days, what we're going to be offering and presenting at those days. We're hoping to have a whole schedule for the entire year completed by then.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
Any questions for
No,
Matt?
thank you.
So the talk about universal design for learning and reading curriculum and things like that, maybe I'm saying more about myself, and I mean this with all due respect, but if it seems a little boring to hear about those things at board meeting, I would remind you that this is the first time that you, the Alton board, have been able to have a conversation about or through us, right? We've been able to have a conversation about curriculum with the other two schools at the same time. So it's, even though it might just seem like another thing on the agenda, it's a lot of people worked hard for a long time to make this day possible. This isn't work that's just being done here. It's work that's being done in both of our elementary schools so that students entering the high school have a common base and experience.
That's great.
And you're all at the retreat together this week, right?
We are.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
Thank you.
I'll offer an opinion. I think UDL is awesome.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Okay, technology report. Looks like a busy summer.
Yeah, the rip and replace, we've been calling it, project is going well. The one issue we have that should not affect school operations is that the switches themselves are on a pretty long back order. So our old switches will be configured and in place and working with all of the new everything else. And then when the new switches come in, we'll have to decide whether a 3-day weekend is enough, or maybe the week of Thanksgiving, or, depending on when they're here, we'll have to time that replacement. In theory, they can be configured on the bench and then put in the racks and everything plugged in, and they're gonna work perfectly, in theory. But we might want a few days to troubleshoot.
I'm just laughing because we went through the same thing in Concord last year. And I left before I got to see the results of it, so I don't know, because
sure
it was
it worked
back-ordered
fine.
so far. Yeah, I'm sure they had a great summer.
But the worst case scenario is we use one of our week-long school vacations. The important thing is people aren't in here trying to use the network. We're staffed, we can do the work, that's not the problem. It's having people trying to use the systems while we're configuring the systems that wouldn't work.
Great. Okay. Any questions about that one?
No.
Okay. Principals report, John.
All right. One of the big things is we've welcomed Janice Christian officially. She's started this week, but she's been over a couple times over the summer as well, just getting the office set up once Jim had vacated. She's ready to hit the ground running, and we're ready to have her. So it's going to be great. She's joining us with the retreat tomorrow, and
Okay.
it's going to be a good time.
We'll have her come meet you in September when she's at work every day, because she'll have a work day the day of your meeting.
Yeah.
Just as normal, buildings grounds have been really cranking this summer, moving around. Obviously, the infrastructure project, making sure that rooms are ready and people are able to get to them and do some setups with them, which has been happening. They've been special thanks to Sean and the entire crew. Same with Matt Dumont and the IT. Special thanks to them with a project this big. It's been kind of, it's a little scary to think without internet, but they've been able to keep our office up and running, ESY up and running as far as internet, that we've been having it, and we're definitely looking forward to those phones coming back up but they do have an alternative in place that's at least getting us by for the time being. For now, one of the things on here is a little is this letter had to come out a little bit early. The welcome back letters are going home this week. They were going to go home last week, but they're ending up just with open house. We want to make sure everything is legit squared away, so when they go home, parents have the correct information. And of course, we're looking forward to welcoming everyone back on September 5th. One thing not on my report is last week I had the opportunity to go to the Principals Academy through Drummond and Woodsum, through the SAU. It was a great experience. I actually have my back here. Lots of notes. I gave Tim a summary for tomorrow. I had the chance to spend 2 days with the interim principal at the high school, Chaley Davis. We had a great time together. Just getting to know each other, but also going over this and coming up with the summary that we gave to share with everybody. And the other thing is, I'm really happy I went because it's going to give me a lot to talk about with the new AP, because this is all going to be new for her.
Great.
So it's going to be, it was
Yeah, they were
time
good
very well
workshops.
spent.
Yeah,
So thank you for making that happen,
excellent.
Tim and Matt. I'm thanking you for it because I really did have a good time.
Yeah, it's terrific. So federal and state discipline law and some of our investigation laws, Title IX, some of our special education laws have a tendency to change pretty frequently. So if we don't send principals every year for legal updates, we should do it every other year at least. Title IX in particular changed 4 years ago,
It's
and we
changing
expect
again.
within a few months is going to change significantly again. And Title IX is an extremely complex and very important federal law.
Yeah, a lot of the things they talked about, especially in terms of Title IX, were like October, November, be expecting another big change. Keep your eyes out. So
Great, thank you. And the buildings and grounds report is on the back of John's
that.
report.
Oh.
70 yards of wood chips in the playground. That looks like the highlight.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen the new fence around the preschool playground, it's
fence.
really, really nice. I have to put a new fence in somewhere else, and after I saw this one, I said, I want that fence, so we're gonna do the same
I wanna
thing.
see.
oh,
Should go
they
see it.
also put a new
It's nice.
structure in. It's looking so cool.
It's
good.
not
So
just a
much
chain link fence, but it
No.
was close to the cost of a chain link fence. Huge upgrade. It's nice.
Okay,
Nice.
Yeah,
Simple
that's
pleasures.
exciting.
it's a huge improvement to Outback. Wait till you see it.
All right.
It's awesome.
And a bunch of new flooring.
Yep.
Great.
Some has been installed. I can answer on this. Some has been installed. Some is back ordered. But we have Sean. Just as soon as actually this morning, I was talking to him about some. It's going down the trophy hallway and up through the UA. That's the one that's back ordered. But he's on it, and they're getting something, and they're going to make it happen.
It'll
So-
be done before students get
Oh,
here,
yes.
if not before faculty get here.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you.
And it's going to look
Call
awesome.
it Labor Day for a reason.
But let me tell you, the flooring that's gone in, like the kindergarten room that was wrecked in the flood, they did a beautiful job with that. The flooring, it's all the VCT, the vinyl square
Oh.
school tiles like it used to. That all was not back ordered. So downstairs by the locker rooms, it's all been redone. It hasn't been waxed yet. It's all looking fantastic. So
Cool.
no matter what, they're coming. Whether we're ready, we're going to be ready. The flooring will be down. So.
Okay.
And I'm not going to wood again for Sean. So.
Okay, we have action items, the handbooks. So it looks like what we have is a summary of changes. We don't have the actual
The books themselves.
handbooks.
I shared everything over.
Okay, so it looks like we need to approve these. Let's do them one at a time.
I shared everything.
So we'll start with the student handbook changes.
So these are the changes made from the old one. Okay, so do you want to do one page at a time?
Yeah.
What is this that I'm looking at? Do you want to go by each line item? Aren't they all
No,
different?
let's just do it by page and then we can discuss. Once you
Okay.
make the motion, we
Um,
can discuss each page.
I'll make a motion to approve the student handbook changes for 2023, 2024. There's no date, right? That's just it? Okay.
Need a second?
Are we just, okay, sorry. Are we just doing one by one, or
Yeah.
are we just gonna approve them all?
No, I think if you approve the motion, then we can do discussion
Okay,
and
all right, I second.
make any suggestions. Okay, now have at it. If there's anything that we need to update, it looks like pretty boilerplate stuff.
Yeah.
The website address, is it really www.acs?
.pmsau.org.
Really?
Because
I was gonna guess it was acs.pmsau.org,
acs.pmsau.org.
without the www.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just
Is there a
wondering
difference?
if that's accurate, yeah.
I did not know that.
Okay. Take a close look at that one.
Okay, we'll look at that.
I don't know for sure, but the way things go, it's usually just the school name and then the domain.
We'll, two of us will be there in just a moment. It is
I don't have service.
https://acs.pmsau.org, not www.
Okay, that's why okay.
So we have to change that.
Yep, got it.
You guys good?
Oh, yeah, everything else, like you said, looks pretty standard.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion to approve the volunteer handbook changes for 23-24 student handbook.
Second?
Any discussion?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What is this? No changes were made then, obviously, for this. So I make a motion to approve the homeschool handbook changes for 2023-2024.
Second?
So nothing was done to that, I'm assuming.
Same.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Updated responsibility policy link will be added to align all three schools. I make a motion to approve the faculty staff handbook changes for 2023-2024.
Second.
Any discussion?
That website updated, that's for on the new one that's coming out. That,
Yeah.
those things that we talked about for the drop-down menu will change too, or they have been changed.
They're happening this month. We're
Okay.
in the process.
I make a motion to approve the
Oh, wait. We didn't vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Oh, that's
go
right.
for it.
I make a motion to approve the substitute handbook changes for 2023-2024.
Second? There were no changes.
So this
though,
one
right?
says no
Yeah.
changes, so
No
that's why.
changes.
Other than dates.
Okay.
We don't need to vote on that. Okay, thank you. Equipment disposal.
So you have the procedure here just to remind you why you're seeing this and what we do after you vote to dispose of the aged items, and then you have an inventory. One page, a little bit on the back. I think it's all aged laptop and Chromebook.
So, point of order.
Do what you want.
We modified the policy a few years ago so that it doesn't need to come to the board. The threshold is $1,500 per item, so how about if we skip that and you just do
Love
what
it.
you want? Okay.
Done.
Policies. So it looks like GBEF.
So this is the acceptable use policy that we just added to all those handbooks.
Okay.
So,
Is
we
it
probably
brand
should have
new?
reviewed this first.
It's revised.
Oh, okay.
The main thing was to make them all the same. They were pretty close. A couple were better than the other. The one here was
And
pretty good.
This is first reading, so we can read it more thoroughly before the next meeting.
Okay. Do we wanna just approve the first read for all of them? Or do we need to go one by one?
I like to do them one by one just so that we can address any comments or
Okay.
discussion if we need to.
That's all you, Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll take this one. All right, I make a motion to approve the first reading for policy GBEF.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the old policy's in your packet also, so if you do wanna go home and compare them, you can
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
All right, all right, so this is still GBEF, that's the original, okay. I make a motion to approve first read for policy JICL-R.
Second.
Okay, discussion. I have a couple of things. I'm not sure that we should put costs, replacement costs and repair costs in the policy. I think that that should be, it's on like the second to the last page, the front of the back, yeah, there. I'm not sure we should call out those costs exactly. I think it's good for the board maybe to know each year, but I just think that that's gonna change
It will.
very frequently. And then, this is one of my pet peeves, sorry. Having students or parents sign a policy, all students and parents are responsible for following all of our policies, so having them sign a technology policy doesn't make sense to me, and we went away from that many years ago here, and somehow it crept back in, but, they're responsible for all the policies regardless. This just, I don't understand why technology has a special signature page. It's back from the early 2000s when technology was a new thing, you know? So I'd like to remove the signature line. Each school can do what they want as far as, a student contract or instruction about care of their device, that kind of thing, but I just don't think it needs to be required that they all sign it. And it's not equitable, because the kids that don't sign it are, you know. Any other comments?
Nope.
All right,
Nope.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, again, first reading.
Sorry.
Oh, that's the dash R,
I was gonna
anyway.
say, wait, where are
Okay.
we, where are we?
I think we're on the second reading, AC dash E.
Okay. And what changed on this? Just updated contact information? Do we know?
So, I believe this is the one that used to identify individuals by name instead of titles, roles.
Oh, and we took away the names,
So
right?
this
Okay.
makes a little more sense. This way, when you have a staff change, you don't have to change the policy.
That's right.
Okay, so I, move to approve second reading of appendix AC-E.
Second.
Any discussion? All
Nope.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, sorry. I make a motion to approve second reading of policy BEDH.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
This one, I think, was updated to be consistent with new state laws.
Correct.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Cranking through it. Okay, personnel report.
So the first thing is really a notification. It's not a certified educator. You don't have to appoint non-certified staff, but Mr. Bemis was previously an SAU 72 employee here working exclusively in this school. He is now our Assistant Director of Facilities and Maintenance and is spending time working in both elementary schools. That does not take away from the resources we have available here at ACS. We have an open position and it is posted.
Okay. So no vote needed. And then the new hires,
So I make a motion to approve the 2023, 2024 new hires.
Second,
any discussion?
when you say new hires, this is just negotiated, because these employees
So
have
there
already
are,
worked here, so,
A lot of this, their summer,
there are 3 new hires at the top of
I
the list.
see
If you want to
those.
handle those separately because you have something you want to talk about, that might make sense. The others are employees who worked in the ESY program, and we traditionally bring that to you to appoint them only because that's your tradition.
okay, so,
after the fact, yeah.
okay.
We give him the authority to do it during the summer. I'm good with all of them in a block, unless somebody has
No.
something to discuss, okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
We are at our second public input. Anything? Hello, Mr. Shape.
Good to be here. I missed your June meeting due to my old stupidity of writing the wrong date down. I see in the minutes that you had graphs and preliminary results for the state testing for math and reading. I wondered whether that was available yet for the public.
Yes, if you can leave your email with Mr. Jozokos, he can get
Yep.
those to you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And will I smile when I get the email?
I'll put the smiley faces on there for you.
The other thing, I just wanted to echo Ms. Johnson's suggestion on your capital improvement plan for surveillance. It's not a lot of money, and while I certainly applaud waiting for the opportunity to perhaps get a state or federal grant, surveillance cameras are such great use when something happens, good or bad, usually it's bad.
They are.
And I think the public, from a warrant article point of view, would support it if you were to put it forth this year, so perhaps you could consider that.
Thank you.
Otherwise, I know you're all looking forward to the first day of school.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm wondering if we could do a non-public later in the fall around security, surveillance, and really just get an update.
Yeah, I think we'd want to bring both Sean Asdot
Yeah.
and Matt Dumond to that.
Yeah, before budget season, but just really have a better understanding of it. Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I wasn't at the June meeting either, but didn't we discuss prior that the scores and that are all supposed to be posted online for the public to see?
They are, but you have to find them.
Yeah, and to speak to that, to try and find the SAU, that is like an intentional, like,
We're working on it.
egg hunt. That is horrific. Because I tried to go on there to find some stuff and I couldn't even find the SAU tab. So,
I think that's new website.
We're working on it.
Adjustment,
Okay.
yeah.
that, you know that's gonna turn into a whole big on purpose thing, right? Public.
It's great.
But anyway, so yes, I thought that all of that stuff, all of those scores and everything were supposed to be posted.
Yep.
I think a lot of times when you're in a school building and you're looking at the website, you're looking with a laptop. You're on your phone all the time, but that,
It's because people are texting me all the time.
yeah. Parents are on their phones, so I think it's always really important to look at it from that perspective. Okay, closing public input, I forgot that, thank you. future agenda items, we talked about surveillance.
So I know this is gonna seem quirky, I think I messaged Tim, I don't even know, last fall about this. To just kind of take a look and revamp, the lunch menu for the kids. I know this sounds maybe petty, but, I think I had sent Tim before, and I could pull it again, like an example of Guilford's school menu. I would just like to see some, I feel like it's all non-healthy choices for the kids.
We
I-
said that, I think, when she asked us to increase the budget price for it, that we wanted to see.
Yeah, so it's been discussed.
Well, I said, if I'm okay with increasing school lunch, if we could have some more healthy options, and she mentioned looking into the salad bar again.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was always the holdup on the salad bar, was the space, and we've renovated the space, so.
okay, yeah, it just
maybe-
always seems like chicken nuggets, French toast sticks, or pizza. So I'd just like to see a little bit of a variety.
Yeah, maybe a overview on school lunch programs, because
Yeah, just a
the,
discussion.
yeah, the reality of developing a menu in terms of what our requirements are, the federal nutrition requirements, and like, it's not an easy thing to do. I think it might be good
We'll bring Sam.
to have a presentation
Yeah,
on that.
okay, cool, thank you, that's all.
Okay. Do we need a non-public?
I don't.
No? Non-public? No?
Okay.
Okay. Seeing none, our next meeting date is scheduled for September 11th. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. All right.
Cool beans.
Have a good start to the school year.
Yes, have fun.